You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you, and get your tickets $17 round trip for the Sens bus, leaving an hour and 15 minutes before the game, bringing you right back to the pub afterwards. Get your tickets online for both games this weekend, and you can see the full schedule at GlebeCentralPub.com. I'm Ross Levitan alongside my pizza party buddy, Brandon Piller, and we've got Jack Richardson with us as well. Ottawa Senators win 2-1. The final score, 41 seconds remaining, and Josh Norris, the Michigan man, beats his hometown club, his second of the night. Senators get not only a huge win, but a big regulation win, and hold the Wings to 0 points and jump them in the standings with still a game in hand. Pilsy, I'll let you give a little, that looked refreshing. How'd you see that one play out?
Oh, we needed this one, and we got it. I was nervous that the refs were going to ruin the whole night, but the hockey gods and the pizza gods made it so that the Ottawa Senators could get the regulation win on the night that they honor the pizza line. Danny Heatley back, Jason Spezza back, the trio with Alfie. They get a regulation win up against the Detroit Red Wings, who this was a closer game than it should have been. But thank God the Sens got this done, because the three of us needed this badly, and I wanted to enjoy some pizza and happiness, not in sadness.
Jack, let me tell you that my pizza showed up with 2 minutes left in the game, and I said, I don't want this to be a sad pizza. And it wasn't. What'd you love about that performance?
I loved that it was the top guys getting it done on a night where you're celebrating the excellence of the best line in Sens history. Obviously got Heatley, Alfie, and Spezza behind me. Pretty special, honestly, man. Like, just having them in the building. We can get into that a bit later. I know you guys have touched on it already. Leading up to this game, how many days off was that? 4 days off for the Sens, with a bit of a sour taste in their mouths. A big homestand coming up, and doesn't get better than beating a division rival in the dying seconds in regulation to get a point, or to take both points, not give the Red Wings one. this season's still very much alive for the Ottawa Senators. So that was a great game. Awesome from Josh Norris too, getting it done against the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much, but it's the small victories we got to revel in here. The Ottawa Senators are no longer 29th in the NHL. They move all the way up to 26th, and they're no longer 7th in the division. They move up to 6th place, passing the Detroit Red Wings, and only 3 points out of a wild card spot. I know there's a bunch of teams they have to jump, but when you get it down to 3 points, seems a lot more attainable here.
Yeah, like are we? I'll let Ross finish his pizza there. A bit of a different vibe for us, obviously scarfing down the pizza, but we had to have the pizza with us, especially after a victory like that. But you're right, Pillsy. There's a lot of teams to jump, but I think that's also what makes this game so important. I know it's early December. Looking back at the end of the year, you might not look at it as this is the reason they won, but in these big games, we've seen the Sens, we've seen this core. When they know they need a win, especially against Detroit in the Canadian Tire Center, they pull through and they played a great game from start to finish. And I think Linus Allmark really solidified things for them when it was getting a bit hectic back and forth. I think Linus Allmark is really finding his game, and I think that's nothing but a positive for the Ottawa Senators.
When it was a tie at 1, there was a save on Michael Rasmussen in tight where against Philly, that probably leaks through him. In that similar spot from the side door. I was nervous in the first or at the end of the first period, early second in that time in the game where Patrick Kane threw one from behind the net and it was panic in front.
Teams are checking the game notes. They're doing that on purpose on Allmark, I swear.
The home plate area for the Ottawa Senators, the highest danger scoring chances against is below the goal line. That's the scouting report.
I mean, it's worth a try. Like if you're there and nobody's open out in front, you might as well try it on Allmark. It's had success, but it's scary, Ross, because when that happens, it feels like he has no clue where the puck is. And that's not a comforting feeling.
It's not a comforting feeling as a fan too, but you know what is? When the Ottawa Senators score first. They did that tonight. Josh Norris in the first period, and now the Sens are 9-1-0 when they score first in a game, 5-0 at home under those same conditions. It was a little bit closer than I think a lot of Sens fans would have liked on the scoreboard early on in this game, especially. I thought Ottawa carried the play. They carried the momentum within the game. They just could not find a way to bury their chances. After 2 periods, the score was 1-0, but the shots were 27-12 at that point in the game. Third period, let's get into it right now. It just became a special teams bonanza. And whether you're cheering for Ottawa, cheering for Detroit, cheering for your bets, or cheering for good hockey, I just don't like when the refs make themselves that much of a center stage focus in the game. Jack, did you think that the penalties that were called should have and would have been called in any game this season? Or did you think they tried to manage the game a little bit late?
Sorry, little technical issues there. We're good here. New computer I'm using.
Grease from the pizza. Pizza.
Everything can go back to the pizza. We'll blame everything on the pizza. But yeah, Ross, I think if you're not familiar with the term game management, I think this third period was a perfect example of that. Just one bad call for another team immediately, and not even like afterwards, just throughout that power play. They were probably away from even strength for a good 4 to 5 minutes consecutively, just because of how many penalties there were. I know the Sens, it says 0 for 5 on the power play, but how many of those were full 2-minute attempts? Like they had half a power play, it felt like 3 times. So,
but Jack, give them an asterisk, buddy. They got a power play goal. It just got called back 40 seconds later.
And so I don't want no conspiracies, but I feel like the Sens have been in the mix for a few reviews this season, more than they have in the seasons past. You hear a lot about it come playoff time, like offside reviews, goaltender interference. People don't know what's going on. As Sens fans, we haven't really had calls to really look at and say, yeah, you know what? I don't like the consistency here. I feel like there's been a few this season, and this is one of them. I don't understand how that's offside, because if it's because Batherson is not the next person to technically touch it when you go onside, that's not offside. That's not how it's called. If you have the puck, you're onside. And to me, that was full possession for Drake Batherson. So maybe those makeup calls, some of the bad ones against the Red Wings for the Sens, were because of that. I don't know, but that should have been a 2-0 game. That was a power play goal. I know that obviously on this side we're saying it's a goal, but even looking at the other way, like Pillsy, you and I a couple games ago did the goaltender interference. I think it was maybe against, I forget who it was, but it was definitely a call that I think the Sens got lucky on for goalie interference. But, it's just that offside to me, like it'd be hard to find someone who said, yeah, that's definitely offside. Like that was pretty gray area to me.
Which is surprising that it get called back because it's called a goal on the ice. It's 26 seconds earlier. And it's one of those things where you have to have the debate. Okay, what is possession and what isn't possession, and what's the time frame window where possession becomes not possession and not possession becomes possession? And that's where the whole thing was weird. I didn't think it should have been called offside, obviously. And for me, that was a huge TSN turning point in the game, because if the Sens get that, they go up 2-0. They get a power play goal, and then they feel like their power play has some momentum going up against the league's worst penalty kill. You get a big boost from the crowd there. I think the Sens would have been able to run away with things a little bit more than just a 2-1 win with the final goal and 41 seconds left. So that was a huge moment for me, but nonetheless, the hockey gods show that the Ottawa Senators deserve to win this game tonight.
It really felt like they deserved to win this game, but the way it happened, I feel like it could be the band together moment that this team needed. And who else but Josh Norris? This guy just crushes the Red Wings. I know earlier today, Pillsy, on Locked On Senators, we talked about the Jake Sanderson stats against the Detroit Red Wings. Well, how about Josh Norris? Now has 7 goals in 9 games in his career against the Detroit Red Wings. That's 7 goals, not points. He's added 3 assists on top of that. So 10 points for Josh Norris in 9 games against his hometown team. Love that. Love that for Josh Norris. And sneaky, he's up to 11 goals on the season. Like, does it not feel like that kind of caught up to us kind of in a hurry here?
I mean, a little bit, and especially Ross, because this is not how we thought Josh Norris would get here. I thought it was going to be power play merchant one-timer goals from his office, and he's not even setting up or taking shots from there, let alone scoring goals. And what some of my favorite plays in hockey are the guys that can do this, and Josh Norris can do this, where you need a goal bad. You don't need a pretty passing play. You don't need an odd man rush. You just need a sniper with confidence to enter the zone and rip one. And that's what he does there. Like with 40 or so seconds left, this team desperately needed that, because I think if you let this game go to overtime or shootout, the Ottawa Senators still like their chances, but it's that getting away from that pesky 3-point game up against a division rival that just makes this so important. And Josh Norris has got to be feeling real good right now.
Not to go back too much on that disallowed goal, but I just want to give a shout out to a tweet we got during the game. It was from @Senzo57. The refs have now taken away Drake Batherson's 100th career goal and Tim Stützle's. That goal against Carolina that was taken off the board was the 100th of his career. So just a little bit of connection there between the two disallowed goals. So the Ottawa Senators get a 2-1 win over the Detroit Red Wings. They go 0 for 5 on the power play against the worst penalty kill in the National Hockey League. We do have Sen Central standouts as well. That's all coming up after a quick word from one of our favorite sponsors. But before we get to that, why don't we run through how we got here? In case you're listening to this on your morning commute, you missed some of the game. It was a 2-1 final for the Ottawa Senators over Detroit. The Senators held the Wings to just 20 shots on goal, albeit 8 of them coming in the third period, almost half of their total. The Senators had 32 shots on goal. I mentioned 0 for 5 on the power play. The Wings went 1 for 3 on the power play. It was Alex DeBrincat that scored that game-tying goal on a 4-on-3 man advantage. Makes sense that he scores when both teams are short, if you know what I'm saying. Sens get 52% of the face-off snap back. Both teams blocked 13 shots. The Senators with 14 hits to 15 for the Wings, and the Senators carry 56.7% of the 5-on-5 expected goals. What's the most glaring for you, Pillsy? The 0 for 5 on the power play?
Easily, Ross. I mean, the Detroit Red Wings were a 65% PK team that had allowed 7 power play goals in the last 4 games. Now, it's not like the Ottawa Senators are a prime model of how to be a successful penalty kill either. But when you're the third best power play percentage team in the league and you're up against the worst and you get 5 opportunities, you figure to cash in a little more. Now, Jack did mention not all of those 5 are legit full 2-minute opportunities, but it looks bad on the game recap stat sheet.
You know what else? And boys, we don't have to get too far into this, but the power play, I guess we should get into this because the power play went 0 for 5. But not only does Josh Norris not want to shoot on the power play, Tim Stützle wants to do anything but shoot the puck on the power play.
He's such a Jason Spezza.
Such a Jason Spezza. And in the same vein too, Jack, that he has a great shot. He just doesn't like to use it.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, it feels like that really. And I honestly think the biggest shooter right now on that power play is Jake Sanderson. Like he's the only one, it feels like, where when they're passing it around too much, I know if it goes to Sanderson, he's going to get it on net to try and get a tip or something like that. But you're right. I think they just have a little bit too much of, we're looking for the perfect play. And let's not kid ourselves. Like they're an elite power play. They've proven it, I think, over the few years now that they've all kind of been together. They can put the puck in the net. So, and they know that. So when you know you're going up against the worst penalty kill in the league, and I know the Red Wings killed them all off, but they didn't look that good on the penalty kill tonight. To me, it was the Sens just passing it into each other's stick like as much as they could. I think they had that one. I think it was their second one in the first period where they showed all the highlights. It felt like they were all around the net. They didn't get a shot on net. They made like 4 seam passes and didn't get a shot on net. So that's not going to cut it. I did like the way they generated momentum off of their power plays, though. It was something to build off of. And again, we've talked about this. It gets the top guys the touches. It gets them touching the puck, gets them feeling good. I think that's how Detroit got back into the game with momentum by the end, because Raymond, Larkin, DeBrincat, Kane all started touching it in the third period with all those calls that were happening.
7 penalties in the third period. Only 1 was coincidental. Josh Norris cross-check with, that was an egregious dive from Moritz Seider on that one.
Yeah.
However,
Seriously.
you could probably argue that Josh Norris sold his penalty call a little bit, where Marco Kasper had the inside lane. But much like the Claude Giroux penalty against Calgary last Monday, it's about putting yourself in a position where from where the ref's standing, it's a call every time.
And Kasper does get that arm in. Like as soon as you get that arm in,
Norris is holding his arm too.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, from the look of the ref, once that arm's in, if anyone's arm touches you, just lean right into them and fall down. It's like you're
and keep your legs going, Pilsy. You got to keep your legs moving. I think a lot of the time you're trying to sell a call, you just start flailing around. And I think Tim Stützle is still sometimes a little bit guilty of this, where he just stops skating. You're the best skater on the team. Just keep your legs going. They're going to call it, like Norris did there. He gets a couple strides going, makes it clear he's being impeded. They're going to call it. It's a smart play. It sucks if you're on the other end of it, though.
You're listening to the Postcast, the Pizza Party edition here on Locked On Senators after a 2-1 Sens win over the Detroit Red Wings. Senators improved to 13-2-1 in their last 16 games against the Red Wings, going back to the start of the 2019 season. The Postcast is brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub in the heart of the Glebe. They're at 779 Bank Street. They've got awesome food, great drinks, and a vibe to match it all right in the heart of the Glebe at 779 Bank Street. They're walking distance from TD Place Arena. If you were at the PWHL opener this week, you know that the atmosphere there is unreal. Well, why don't you go fill yourself up, get yourself ready for game time at the GCP. They've also got the Send Shuttle. Jack was on it a couple weeks ago, and he can attest the vibes are absolutely immaculate on the way to the games. So much so, we love to see this. The shuttle on Saturday against Nashville is already sold out. So that's just a reminder to get your tickets early for the GCP shuttle. There is still room on the shuttle for Sunday against the New York Islanders. Note the start time, 5 p.m. That means the bus will leave at 3:45. The bus always leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game and then takes you back 15 minutes after the game right to the GCP. The vibes are free at the GCP. Oh, yeah. How about tomorrow night? I mentioned PWHL Ottawa. They're playing at the CTC tomorrow against Montreal, and there will be a shuttle from the GCP. There will also be a shuttle for all Team Canada games at the World Juniors. So just keep that in mind as we are rolling through December. A busy month for us, and a busy month for the Glebe Central Pub.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. I hope there's a lot of green numbers in Sens fans' account tonight after that 2-1 win. And it's with America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com.
Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. That's Brandon Piller alongside Jack Richardson here, breaking down a 2-1 Sens win over the Detroit Red Wings. That penalty summary in the third period is absolutely outrageous, but we would be way too homerish without mentioning that after two periods, the penalties were 3-0 for Detroit. Ottawa's power play just could not get a legal goal throughout the whole process. We do have Sens Central standouts in this game, but before we get to that, Pilsy, is there any other parts of this game that you want to get to?
Let's give Allmark a little bit of praise here, Ross. Did he steal this win for the Ottawa Senators? No, but he was sharp when he had to be. Only 20 shots. Normally, when we see him get less than 25, 30 shots, he struggles and he lets in a bad goal because he looks a little rusty. We didn't see that in this game. He only allows the one goal, which, no chance on that one. It was a good power play, one-touch pass by Compher. Gets Alex DeBrincat wide open. Too bad DeBrincat didn't hit the post there like he did 10 times with the Ottawa Senators, but that doesn't matter. I thought Allmark had a great game, and he's the guy that needed to start this game and needed to get the win for the Ottawa Senators. So huge boost for our guy, number 35.
Love that. And if we're looking up and down the stat sheet for this one, we will pull up, of course, our friends over at Hockey Stat Cards. We always like to take a peek and see how the analytics of the game look compared to the eye test. But we'll save that for after our Sens Central standouts, because I don't like how it sometimes influences who our Sens Central standouts are in this game. So I will turn it over to Jack Richardson with the easiest slam dunk of the season for a Sens Central standout.
I love going first on games like this, boys, because I know who I'm picking.
There you go.
Josh Norris deserves some love after tonight, even if he didn't score twice. I think he was all over the ice, just hounding Dylan Larkin all night. Drew that penalty on him early, I think in the first period, where Larkin got annoyed with him after a face-off and took a nasty cross-check at him. I think Josh Norris's defensive game has kind of been really developed so far this season. He's getting a lot of defensive zone assignments. And I think, myself included, I've been hard on him, just wanting more offense in these games that they've been losing. A game like tonight where Stützle was pretty quiet overall, just not playing with Tkachuk anymore, not playing with Batherson. So he's got to create a bit more with Giroux and Gregg. They'll get some chemistry going. But on games like this, they've lost some this season where you're not getting that production from Tkachuk. You're not getting that production from Tim Stützle. Who's going to step up next? And I've always been looking at Josh Norris, and he did that tonight and more. I thought this was just kind of one of his better games in a long, long time, just everywhere on the ice. I don't know the exact stat, but they mentioned it on the broadcast of how many defensive zone faceoffs he's taken. So he just immediately starting 200 feet from the offensive zone. It's hard to get offense going, but he did it tonight with his legs. That goal he scored was a goal scorer's goal, a little toe drag around Moritz Seider, and just absolutely shelves it. So Josh Norris, to me, if you could just get those performances bottled up here and there with some stellar play in between, absolutely a guy that is part of the solution here, I think. Just stole the game for the Sens.
5 shots on goal for Josh Norris in this game as well, through 2 hits, went 44% in the dots, added a block shot, and was a +2 on the evening in just under 19 minutes of play. Love that call out, Jack. And it was at the other end of the rink, but some fans making the comparison to that Kyle Turris overtime goal in 2012 playoffs against the New York Rangers, where Jim O'Brien left him the puck. But I think it's more about the shot, that far side upstairs, and Josh Norris made absolutely no mistake. Pillsy, you're up, pal.
And just quickly, what a time for Josh Norris to do this when his name is kind of hot in the streets and with trade rumors, right? Like, if you're in trade rumors, you want to play good because then hopefully it entices more and better teams to trade for you, or it says to your team, hey, you're not going to want to trade a guy like me. I'm out here scoring 2 goals in a 2-1 game. So interesting timing for Josh Norris to kind of get a fire lit up under him. I'm going with not the guy that had 2 goals, but how about a guy that got 2 assists and 1 goal taken away from him? Drake Batherson, I thought, had a great game.
The back check that turned over on that game-winning goal was elite. That's what we want from Batherson.
Yeah, I thought he had a really good stick tonight, and he's starting to use his body to shield the puck a little bit more, his pivots, where he's able just to quickly get a different angle on an opponent trying to defend him and put pressure on him, his ability to be able to make great passes. Yeah, Drake Batherson, I think, really is finding where he fits on this team, and he's sneakily such an important part of this team generating offense. I mean, he's one of the leaders in points. I'm trying to load the Sens page right now, but it's not loading, so I forget what point total he's at here. But he's a
Batherson.
Yeah, he's above a point per. Oh, I got it here. 27 points. Like, he's above a point per game pace here, and that's what you need to see, because it can't just be Timmy, Brady, or even Norris, or God forbid you leave Adam Gaudette out of the conversation of scoring goals. It can't just be those guys. And Drake Batherson is doing a really good job producing offensively this season.
Drake Batherson was second among all Ottawa Senators forwards in ice time, behind only Tim Stützle tonight. Like that. +2 for Drake Batherson, and assisted on both Josh Norris goals. Very good call out. Boys, I want to snap it around twice. That okay? Whoa. Can we do that tonight?
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
I'll lead us off here tonight with Linus Allmark. I thought he was fantastic. Nice. And you can even go back to the last 3 games now. The San Jose game, of course, he stole. The Anaheim game, he was great. And now tonight, awesome again. Our boy over at Everyday Sens, Brennan, tweets out a .928 save percentage over the last 3 games from Linus Allmark. That's the type of goaltending Ottawa's going to need if they want any hope of getting this season back on track. And it's the calm demeanor. Like, there was even a play in the second period where Tarasenko got the puck in the home plate area, and it was like a one-on-one, and the guy it looked like he might have been screening him. And so many times this season, in those situations, the puck just finds its way in the net. Not only did Allmark make the save, but he read the release so well that he actually slid his butterfly over to the right and just killed the play. And it's those simple moves that a goalie can make that just add such an element of confidence for the rest of the team. There was another couple plays where I think in the past, the goalie maybe panics or moves it. He's like, all right, face off. We don't like it. It was on the 4-on-4 situation. And he's like, look, we're going to have a power play in a matter of 8 seconds. Let me just cover it up. Let's have faith in the guys to win another face off, and we'll go from there. So the leadership, to me, from Linus Allmark, more like in the San Jose game, highlight reel saves. Tonight, it wasn't highlight reel saves, but it was giving his team confidence to go out and win a low-scoring game like they did 2-1. So love that from Allmark.
Yeah, that's huge.
Now, that's multiple games, by the way, where the Senators have scored less than 3 goals in one. The Boston game, they win 2-1. Like, how many 2-1 wins did Ottawa have last year? I don't think it was many.
Not many, and having him back there, the team confidence is so big. There's one play, it was super quick, and it was in the third period. It was Chabot that went back for the puck, and it speaks to the leadership you're talking about with Allmark there, Ross. I don't see many goalies do this. He directed traffic for the blue line. Like, it was one of those camera angles where they switch to the corner really quickly when the puck goes back there, and he shooed Chabot off. He said, peel off to the corner. I'm going to move it up the ice the other way. Like, that kind of stuff. Not that Allmark is, the best puck handling goaltender in the league, but being able to direct traffic as being a bit of a third defenseman, a 6th player out there, starts your breakout. It gets the forecheck off the rails for the Red Wings. Like, stuff like that's so valuable. And that's just on top of stopping every puck you find. So I think Allmark, man, him turning the corner is going to be huge. He's going to have to be like a Send Central standout every single night if they're going to want to make a push to the playoffs. So this is how he's going to do it, and he looked fantastic again.
And Assis in the chat also mentioning, this is a great point too. He had a great stretch pass, and it created an opportunity to Ridley Gregg. So that's, again, leadership and reading the game, being involved in the game, and being able to make plays. So great call out there, Assis. Appreciate that. Linus Allmark's going to be my first of 2 Send Central standouts. My second, boys, when the Ottawa Senators D-core looks good, when they're playing good defensively, Nick Jensen's always in the middle of it. I thought he had such a solid game today. He did miss a hip check opportunity and got caught out of position there for a second. Yeah. But we're going to get to it as well. I wanted to double down and check on the hockey stat cards we'll get to, but there was 0 on the left column for him. He had a 0 mistake game. He was +2 on for both goals that Ottawa had. He had 3 takeaways in this game. I'd imagine they were all in the defensive zone. I just felt like that pair, and maybe one of you guys will take Thomas Chabot. I thought both of those guys were fantastic in tonight's game.
Yeah, they were the best pair yet again. And the fact that Travis Green had split them up before to try to spread the wealth, I get what he was trying to do, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this pair, night in and night out, has been so great. They both bring the best out of each other's game, in my opinion. So it's so nice to see the Ottawa Senators with a functioning, competent D pair once again.
Dude, and the last couple of games, he was kind of getting tossed all over the place. He was playing with Clevin. He was playing with of course, Thomas Chabot. And it just felt like, just let him stay there. Either go with Sanderson. We were advocating for that, but I don't want him with Clevin anymore. Like, he has to be in a top 4 role with a steady partner. That guy was rock solid tonight. So he's my second Send Central standout. Shout out Steady Stevie Steos. I got 2 new guys coming in from this offseason as my standouts in this game. Ring around the rose. No, we're already doing snake style because I went twice. So Pillsy, right back to you.
Well, I'll tell all the good people about my second Send Central standout, Ross, right after a quick break. And look, the Ottawa Senators want to live rent-free in Detroit Red Wings and Detroit Red Wings fans' heads. But wouldn't you love to have free rent? PSA for anyone who rents, if you haven't heard of Bilt, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Bilt. You don't even have to check with your landlord to start using Bilt, and you can use points towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. If you're a renter, I would start taking advantage of Bilt if I were you. There's no cost to join, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and your everyday spending. Bilt points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, over 500 airlines, and over 700,000 hotels and properties around the world that you can use points to, or just use your points towards paying off your next rent payment or unique experiences that only Bilt members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnhl. That's joinbuilt.com, Bilt, BILT/lockedonnhl. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/lockedonnhl to start earning points on your rent payments today. Check it out today, guys. It's Bilt Rewards.
Welcome back. It's the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan with the boys. Brandon Piller here, Jack Richardson here. Senators beat the Detroit Red Wings 3-2, and they said, no point for you. Josh Norris wins this game with just 42 seconds left. This is only the 6th time that it's been the 3 of us in a Postcast. Isn't that special, boys? Guess what? We started 0-2 back in 2023. Remember that? Well, guess what? When it's the 3 of us, we've won 4 in a row. 4 straight wins for the boys.
Wow.
Let's go.
And does that include where Jack almost was on the San Jose one but wasn't? Like, can we
No.
That's like a disallowed goal. We're going to reverse that call and get Jack back.
I wasn't on the San Jose one. Lily and I made a quick appearance.
Oh, yes,
right,
true.
Right.
The 3 of us. Last game was the Boston. It was 3-2. I think earlier I said 2-1. It was 3-2 that game against Boston. So hand up for me, but I did look it up, and Linus Allmark has allowed less than 3 goals in 5 games this year. And wouldn't you know it, Sens are 4-1. Ah, darn, I did it wrong. Anyways, whatever.
Not math, guys.
No,
they play well when Allmark plays well. We'll put it that way. The wins follow when Linus Allmark is good.
They're 5-1 in 6 games when Linus Allmark lets in less than 3 goals. There is your math for the night. Now, in one of those games, he allowed 1 goal, and Ottawa scored 8 against St. Louis. So they did give him some run support in that one. The other win, though, of course, all 3 of us were boots on the ground for the home opener against the Florida Panthers, the shutout win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. That Boston win, 2 goals. They get the win. The only loss was against the New York Rangers, where Ottawa peppered Shesterkin for 40 shots and lost 2-1. Don't think I lost my spot in line. We're doing our second round of Send Central standouts, and Pilsy's up with his second.
Well done keeping track of that. I'm going to go with the captain, Brady Tkachuk. He gets an assist in this game. Sure, not the kind of outburst of shots or hits from Brady, but look, this is a nice stat line from the captain. 1 assist, +1, 3 shots, 2 blocks, 2 hits, and he goes 50% in the dot. Like, that's just put your hard hat on, bring your lunch pail to work, and get your job in, punch out, and go have a beer with the boys. So great game from Brady Tkachuk.
It was a lunch pail game for Brady Tkachuk, though, for sure. And he got an assist, which means we can continue this unreal stat. Brady Tkachuk has at least a point in 20 out of 25 games for the Ottawa Senators this season. I believe Tim Stützle is also at 20 out of 25 games. He was held off the score sheet tonight, but Brady Tkachuk, man, he brought it. And just 2 hits in this game, just 3 shots. That's the under for what we typically expect, but nice choice.
Yeah, it's not an incredible game that blows your socks off, but if you're going to have a game where maybe it's not your all-time game, that's a nice clean stat line to have, and you got to mix those in once in a while. So I'm giving credit to him.
I like Brady. This won't show up in the stat sheet, but that mixing it up with Edvinsson and Sider early on in the game, like that's listen, like going forward, this rivalry, because I think Red Wings Sens is a rivalry, just both teams trying to claw into the playoff picture in the Atlantic. We're both kind of on similar timelines. You know, that's a pairing that they're going to be seeing a lot of, especially this season. You got 3 more games. Those are big boys. So that's a game you want Brady Tkachuk kind of letting them know, like, hey, don't be messing around at all, because I'll be there if you do. He's imposing himself physically, maybe not even with hits, but just in front of the net on the power play, gets an assist on that goal. Norris's first one. So yeah, I think Brady Tkachuk looked great tonight again. He's really been the last 2 weeks, really. I feel like Brady's been outstanding. I'll go with my final one here, Send Central Standout. I'm going with a guy who's he's right there, and he's looked a lot better the last 3 games. I think he's been talked about just in terms of depth scoring, only 1 goal in the season. I'm going Shane Pinto.
Nice.
I think he's starting to skate a little bit more. I don't know what his injury was. It would have been nice if we knew, because then maybe we can, you can analyze his game a little bit differently, but maybe like the way he's been skating the last 3 games, to me, it feels like it might've been a lower body issue because he looks a bit more engaged just with the legs. So I think when Pinto's skating like that, he's effective. They need that on that line. If he's going to be with Amadio, they need someone to get their legs going at some point. Even with Nick Cousins, like in general, that's not a very fast line.
Dude, he was so slow tonight, Nick Cousins.
Yeah, like that's the thing. And Amadio, I thought too, like we're not going to nitpick guys who, during a win, but I just think that they're lacking a little bit of speed in the bottom.
Gregor up there, don't you think?
Gregor, but when Pinto's skating like this, I don't think you need it. You do want him to have guys who can be with him, but the fact that he's proving he can do it and still be effective, I think is important. He's been good on draws too. So I think Pinto, like he's not producing offensively yet. But
he had that one-timer chance at the end of the second period. I was like, if that goes in,
And he had one at the end of the first too, like a nice rush up the ice. He just missed the top corner left. Like he's right there with it. I just think that it'll come for him. It'll come. He's just going through a slump. Like it happens to a lot of guys. I just think Pinto's around it. I'm liking what I'm seeing. That's when a guy's in a slump, you want to look for little things. And I think that's what we're seeing with Shane Pinto right now. So I think,
Jack, it's to me one of those, when he finally gets that goal, he's going to score in bunches. Like he's going to open the floodgates and get things going.
Jack, I'm not trying to be a hardo. We said we were going to do this either way. And this just shows that the eye test and these analytic cards don't always meet up.
No.
They had Shane Pinto as the worst Ottawa Senator tonight.
But I mean, that's not even that bad.
No, yeah,
it's
like
not.
I'll take that.
It was great. It was a great performance overall by the Ottawa Senators. And he did a lot of good. I agree with you personally. I liked his game. You mentioned the skating, so I don't have to cover that again. But I also loved the fact that he was out there taking important faceoffs. I know he only won 44%, but this guy starts in the defensive zone so often. I'm starting to check that more and more within the context of how Travis Green is coaching this team. Yeah. And tonight in the game, I mean, that's a 5-on-5. I'm curious, all starts. Who started the most in the defensive zone? Jake Sanderson and Josh Norris, actually, in tonight's game. Shane Pinto had 2 defensive zone starts. A lot of on-the-fly starts in this game. Shane Pinto led the Ottawa Senators with 18 on-the-fly shifts tonight. So he was flying tonight. Josh Norris's chart here is flying to the right. This guy was number 1 on the Sens Central standouts. This chart obviously takes into account quite a bit goals, assists as big indicators. I mean, that's how you win games, right? So our top 4 guys were all standouts. Norris, Batherson, and Nick Jensen as well. Linus Allmark, obviously, they don't have goalies on this either. But just an all-around great performance. And it was one of those, boys, where, Jack, are you starting to get this feeling too, where I was following the start of the game on my way home from work, and I was listening to it, and you're like, oh, it's 8-0 shots on goal. Oh, it's 8-1. And you're just like, when Ottawa can't finish early like that, don't you get so nervous that the first or second shot's going to find the back of the net?
I did, but not with Linus Allmark. It's different. I know he had that Philly game, but man, other than that one game, which was really bad, like probably as bad as we've seen goaltending wise for Ottawa, like he definitely lost them that game.
Forsey against LA might have been worse, 3-on-5.
Yeah, that was bad, but it wasn't where they were getting goalied and then
right.
That was bad though. That was really bad. But I feel different with Allmark, and I think just those ones from distance, he looks confident on. He's locked in, and yeah, like I am feeling different. But I'm with you. It's more just about offensively, because look, they did only get 2 goals here. Like that's not a lot. But when you defend like that and you're playing a team like the Red Wings who aren't really that offensive at 5-on-5, especially, you can get away with it just scoring 2. But yeah, I'm with you. Like especially in the first period, if they didn't score early on there and you're tied 0-0 after 1. Then I'm getting nervous. And I actually got more nervous, Ross. I don't know how you guys felt, but after the disallowed goal, I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
And even with some of those calls in the third, like that goal by Josh Norris to win this game is huge. When you think about the narratives about this game, like they had a lead going into the third, let it slip away with a bunch of momentum swings. That would have been kind of par for the course of what we've seen with this team, but they played with a lead for a long time today, which they hadn't done in a while. And I thought they looked pretty good with it.
Yeah, imagine what this postcast is like if Dylan Larkin goes and scores with 40 seconds left to end in regulation.
Or DeBrincat.
Gambles.
DeBrincat or Tarasenko.
Can we talk about Dylan Larkin for a second? Every time the Sens play them, I just wonder why he has this reputation as a great player. I find him as such a liability out there. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's the antics a little bit from him.
I'll say this. I think he is a really good player, but I don't think if he's your number 1 centerman,
he's such a whiner.
Get to the level you need to be at.
He's such a whiner, man. He's always just yapping out there. And in this case, it cost him a penalty when he went back at Josh Norris.
Yeah.
Complained the whole way to the box.
Yeah, I mean, Claude Giroux's a little bit like that too, but
he's got 1,000 games. What's Larkin at? 500?
No, Larkin's much closer to 1,000 than you think, dude.
No way. I'm not that old. What do you think, Jack? Do you think Dylan Larkin is closer to 500 or closer to 1,000 games?
He played a playoff game for the Red Wings.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. I mean, he was drafted 2014. So 10, he's right around that. I'm going to say closer to 1,000.
Well, you guys are both wrong.
What is it?
677.
So he's closer to 500 than 670. But by the end of this season, he'll be closer to 1,000.
Well, he's been knocked out like 40 times.
Yeah, fair. The injuries is what holds him back.
Listen, I'm not going to be here and chirping a team that's right there with the Sens, but I will say I'm not I'm much more confident with the Sens up the middle than I am with the Red Wings up the middle. I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, they showed the graphic tonight. JT Compher and Andrew Kopp combined making over almost $11 million this year, and we've all got the same amount of goals.
Like we're looking at like Shane Pinto, who needs to get more offense from him. Ridley Gregg, two young guys that you can live with. Even Amadio, who's making $3 million. That's probably the bad contract they've got. And then you look at the Red Wings with those two guys making over $5 million. Yeah. Man, that's tough. I don't know what's cooking in Detroit right now, but do you think I am a bit nervous about them just down the line? Like they've got some young pieces. I like Edvinsson a lot. He's a big boy and he can move.
That was part of the game I liked from Brady, though.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah. At the beginning there, just getting in his face, letting him know he's there. Not going to be an easy night when you're facing up against 7.
Well, and then Mark Mathot pointed out that on a shift where they let Edvinsson know, hey, pal, like this can be a long night from you. All of a sudden, he doesn't get back to his position in front of the net, and Josh Norris is able to bang in the rebound.
Boys, you know who else I really like tonight? Maybe not Sen Central standout worthy, but I think Zach Ostapchuk.
I like him best NHL game tonight.
Like him on that fourth line, man. He brings some jump. He's got legs. He can move, and he's making plays. I'm really highlighting guys who can skate fast this season. I feel like they have a little bit of a lack of foot speed up front. Yeah. So anyone who comes out there flying is going to get a thumbs up from me. I think Ostapchuk, I like him a lot.
He plays a simple game. I love Ostapchuk just plays a simple game.
Ostapchuk and Reinhart are cut from the same cloth. Like you could insert them anywhere in that bottom 6 and I'd be pretty happy. Like they're dogs and they're hungry to stay in the league. I like it.
They're Berta boys, right?
Yep, exactly.
That's what it is, man. Something in the water out there. I agree with you, boys, though. Not Nick Cousins is one slow player out there. Couple times where I was just like, holy, they get the
puck on the third line. Like they gotta bump him back down.
I completely agree.
Adam Gaudette, a 12 goal scorer on the fourth line, and Nick Cousins up on the third line, just like
Gaudette played 8 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
Their leading goal scorer, isn't he? Does Brady have 12
second. Brady's got 13, I believe.
I keep forgetting how many goals Tkachuk has. It's bad. I think when
Brady's
Gaudette
got 13.
Yeah, when Gaudette scored against San Jose as second, I tweeted out that he's the first Senator to double digits this season. Completely forgot about Tkachuk.
Oops.
Whoops.
Whose jersey do you have in the background? That black one there.
That might be that's definitely the captain. That's the captain. Just forget about him every time. See that's Sanderson behind the Christmas tree there. Unfortunately getting blocked out, being festive. But
well, he's got to play a little better to get in front of the Christmas tree.
Wow,
so that's okay.
I mean,
he's giving him the old Pillsy Allmark jersey treatment.
Yeah. Do you guys want to talk about the top pair? I'm worried about Jake Sanderson, man. I am. I'm worried not about him. I'm worried about his situation. Why are they keeping him with Travis Hamonic? Do something else, please.
Yeah, I think they're working backwards here. I think they're saying, look, Shabbat and Jensen, and I don't think we've given Shabbat enough stick taps on this pod. I think he had a good game too. He had a great game tonight, +2 as well with Jensen, but I thought he was doing some good things out there. I mean, you heard Bruce Garriock's second intermission. They're calling on every defenseman right now, and I think there's some guys out there that would be a great fit. We'll just see if they can make it work and for a price that won't turn your nose up, because now if teams are calling on Josh Norris, do you have a second thought? I know Eric was pointing out this guy not only is double-digit goals up at 11, I believe he's got like 50 or 60 hits on the season. Like Norris is playing inspired hockey. Yeah. And I mean, now all of a sudden, like who are you giving up if you're making a hockey trade? You don't really have picks to dangle that much. It's not easy right now for Steve Stamkos to pick up the phone. I would almost, and call me absolutely nuts for this, it's fine. I'd almost not mind seeing JBD up with Sanderson for a second, and then throw Matt and Paolo with Clevin. They've got that consistency from almost playing all season together last year in Belleville. 72 hits, Eric's pointing out, for Josh Norris this year. Like that's unreal.
Especially for a guy with major shoulder concerns. Like, to be that kind of fearless about it is showing great signs.
So, boys, the thing, okay, we can talk about this all the time, but
holy moly, boys! I know it's different positions, but in 2 less games, Josh Norris is tied with Brendan Dillon in hits.
Wow,
that's a big physical defenseman back there.
Maybe some different body checks they're both throwing, but
Stefan Nason is another guy with 72 hits. Tanner Jeannot has 71.
Yeah, huh?
I think I'm not taking away from Josh Norris, but I think hits are probably the hardest stat to track. Like,
No,
do you think
takeaways, giveaways, and takeaways? Because there's
Yeah.
turnovers like 150
Literally
times a game.
happening. That's what hockey is. The puck being turned over.
Here's
and
one.
given
Here's
away
one for
and
the
taken away.
offside. Here's one for the NHL to put them in a pretzel. Did Drake Batherson get a turnover on that offside play? Because if he did, then sure. But if he didn't lose
Good
possession.
question. Yeah, good question.
But boys, with Josh Norris, like a game like tonight, right? This is what you want from him more often than not. And I'd say that he's getting there. He's been this engaged all season. It's just the puck hasn't gone in every time. But him shooting the puck, you want that all the time. If they were to move him, let's say, if things don't really get back on track, they kind of stumble in December. This road trip goes all the way down the drain, coming up for the holidays. Are you confident that Shane Pinto and or Ridley Gregg can step in and do what Norris is doing right now? Because
No.
Pillsy, I know you've mentioned it. You don't get better really if you're moving Josh Norris today. So I know that like Bruce mentioned in the intermission, like they've been calling or listening on Norris or whatever it was, the terminology, and they're not willing to move Pinto or Gregg. It's like, well, yeah, obviously for cap space reasons, you get way more cap space if you find a way to move Norris, probably get another piece back that's of higher value. But like, what are we doing here if you're not thinking about moving Pinto and Gregg, who to me, I know I mentioned Pinto looking like he's turning the corner, but you still need more from those guys. So I'd be really against moving Norris just if this is what you're getting from him moving forward. So it really feels like a tryout basis for a lot of these guys who are kind of on the bubble right now, moving forward in the future. But in terms of Jake Sanderson, like they got to find him someone, because I'm not giving up on Artem Zub, obviously, but even when he was back for that stretch after his first injury this season, didn't look like himself, and he's always injured. So you have to plan for it now. Like this is every single season now. Zub is missing at least a month at a time. So you got to plan for something. You have to have a better plan than putting your best defenseman with your worst defenseman. And they do it all the time. And like, there was that one play, I know Brennan at EDS clipped it. It was in the first period where Hamonic just shoveled it on his backhand up the sidewall to two Red Wings, and Jake Sanderson's wide open. Like it's just little plays that might not show up as positive for Sanderson, negative for Hamonic. It just reflects poorly on both of them in the pairing. And like, man, it sucks seeing this. And like, you gotta nip it in the butt faster than you did with Zaitsev and Shabbat. Like it took Thomas Shabbat 9 seasons to get a partner, for God's sake. 9 seasons. Is that his 9th season? Is he in 10 seasons? I don't know, man. It's been a long time for Jensen. So Nick Jensen's the savior.
Nick Jensen been awesome. Nick Jensen spoke to the media, the Ottawa Senators posting Jensen, Batherson, and Norris on their social medias. Go check that out. But what we like to do is play Travis Green. And oh yeah, talk about adding to the Sen Central standout look. We did it with Timmy with his shiner. Drake Batherson's all yellow here from taking the puck in the face against the LA Kings. Said he felt like he couldn't see out of the cage. So he's right back to the visor. Vision looked good tonight, fella. And the hands look great too. Catches the puck at center ice, puts it right down. I thought that it was a non-moment, but the fact that Gord and Mike had that conversation about like, oh, did he carry the puck? It's like, not really. It was slow motion when they did it, and it was still pretty quick. Bang, bang play. And then it was in the neutral zone too. If it's in the offensive zone, maybe you have a conversation about it. But in the neutral zone, man, how about not letting Norris run free and get his speed up in the neutral zone? That ends up going in the back of the net. Let's hear from Ottawa Senators head coach Travis Green after tonight's win over the Red Wings.
Description of your team's game here tonight, right?
Consistent. Yeah.
Efficient, would that be another word to use?
Yeah. We played a strong 60-minute game. We talked about our checking details at the start of the game, and I thought we stuck with it throughout. Went through a little adversity or call lull in the third, I thought, but kept with our game.
Nice to have the ears of the players. They said you said this morning you wanted to see a 2-1 game.
Yeah, I wanted to see them think like a 2-1 game, and sometimes it happens that way.
How happy were you with especially the last 9 minutes of the game just to stay with it?
I was. It's been a lot of talk about our team slipping a little bit when things aren't going their way. And, we just stayed the course, took what the game gave us, but, earned a win.
Showed good resilience too, and found a way. Obviously, if you won in overtime, fine, but you didn't give them the point.
Yeah, it's a big, I mean, you call it, there's every once in a while you play a game in the middle of the season or whatever that you can tag as a big game. And, it's obviously a division rival, team we're behind and team you want to get 2 points against. And I thought we deserved to win tonight. And, especially how the first 2 periods went. Obviously a couple penalties that we didn't like in the third. We got to stay out of the box in those scenarios, but stuck with it.
What do you think allowed Josh Norris to have such a productive game tonight?
Yeah, Josh is a really good player, and he is no secret. He's gone through some things in the past. His game is a little bit up and down, and I think part of that is just mentally being focused every night, not playing a lot of hockey. But when he plays the way he did tonight, he's a hell of a player, and I think we're seeing just him find his game as he moves along the season. I still think what you see tonight can be his everyday game.
You go about managing things in the third there, where the penalties were going both ways, and the game got tight as well.
The game, I'm not a big fan of shortening the bench. I like having 4 lines, get some minutes going. I thought Ostapchuk and Gregor gave us some really good minutes tonight, but obviously when there's a lot of penalties going on, all of a sudden you're down to 4 or 5 minutes left, and the guy hasn't played a lot. We almost just went down to 3 lines near the end.
Like the straight back game, like he's on a big game.
Just strong. He's becoming a strong player that understands certain parts of the game that we've talked about. Owning the puck, being hard on pucks, and he's smart too. He's very smart and playing a real strong game is what I would call it.
A couple key points in the game from the third line. Went back to them a couple of times. Just what you like from?
They're playing well. It's 2 games in a row. We need to have contributions. We need to have our third and fourth line play well for us to have success. I thought we got that tonight out of our group.
What were your takeaways from the ceremonial puck drop? Just seeing those 3 players back together.
I have a lot of different type of memories myself personally when you talk about those 3 guys. So, but I'm a hockey fan too, and when you see the history of the game, the franchise, it's nice to see.
All right, there you have it. That's head coach Travis Green following a 2-1 Senators win over the Detroit Red Wings. We will have another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast tomorrow. We'll have a weekend preview, 2 games for the Sens this weekend, Saturday against Nashville and Sunday against the New York Islanders. We'll also take a quick look at the Belleville Senators weekend, where I will be on the call with David Foote. The B-Sens are in Winnipeg to take on the Manitoba Moose on Friday and Saturday nights. But tonight was a 2-1 win for Ottawa in regulation. Huge. Jack, we'll start with your final thoughts.
3-1-1 in their last 5.
Hey.
That's all I'm looking at. I know it was like 2 wins in their last 7, 2 wins in their last 9, whatever it is. 3-1-1 in their last 5. Just onto the Predators, who are struggling. So let's look at Saturday. Winnable game for the Sens. Winnable weekend for the Sens. Get their first 3-game win streak of the season.
Love that. Pilsy, final thoughts from you.
I like it. Speaking about Nashville, though, the Montreal Canadiens just beat the Nashville Predators 3-0. We've seen a couple times the Vegas game is coming to mind when they got shut out by the Montreal Canadiens, and then they came to Ottawa, and then the Oilers, and they came back to Ottawa with a vengeance. And that Nashville team is so much better than their record, so they scare me, especially if they're feeling a little prickly. So I'm a little nervous about that one, but I like the way the Sens are playing, and no reason in my mind not to go right back to Allmark and try to keep his hot hand going here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm cool either way. I would understand if you go Allmark against the Islanders, the Eastern Conference opponent. You need that win a little bit more. Second half of back-to-back is how they decided to go in LA Anaheim. Maybe they felt like the players' legs might not be there. You want a more stabilizing presence. But I also see your side of it too, where you want to get this guy rolling. He's starting to play unreal now, 3 straight games. Break the tie for us, Jack. Which way would you go?
I'm always going Allmark. If he's hot, he's hot. But I do like that Ross Eastern Conference opponent. Feels like it might be a bit more important. But
Fair.
you guys were goalies. If you're the starter, do you want to play on the second half of a back-to-back when the team might not have all their legs? Short turnaround too, with like kind of a 5 p.m. start, so not even 24
and only
hours.
1 day off.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'd put Allmark in on Saturday.
Yeah, either way, the Senators play like that. You win more than you lose. Let's take a quick look at the super chats tonight. Appreciate a few toonies in the guitar case. Can't control life. Puts the pizza emoji. We love that one there. Vern, super generous tonight. As always, appreciate you. The pizza looks good. Just need a beer. Gonna go grab one of those after this. Will says, message to Staios, don't trade Noof. Josh Norris. But my God, Timmy needs some line mates. G has lost too many steps. Still good, but probably down to the third line. Tough to argue that one, Will. Assis, appreciate you too, brother. And Wally says he just got back from the CTC. How about Allmark? 2-0-1 in his last 3 games, securing 5 of the last 6 points for the Ottawa Senators. Ryan Madden loves hearing the Boo Birds out for Alex DeBrincat. You got to think Danny Heatley had a smile listening to that. Obviously, he was the recipient of those Boo Birds for a number of years. Assis and Vern, very nice. You guys get a couple supers in there. Assis saying it's nice to feel comfortable with both tendies again. You know the deal, guys. GSG's in the chat. GSG, go Sens, go. We appreciate each and every one of you for making Locked On Senators a part of your game day routine, listening to us in the commute, whether it's on the way to or from work, and then hopping in the postcast where we vent or vibe. It's been a lot better recently getting some vibecast in here. The GSGs just give me life. We'll be back tomorrow, another about 11 a.m. drop on Locked On Senators. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For tonight, we say goodbye. For Jack Richardson and Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Have a great evening. The Ottawa Senators win 2-1 over the Detroit Red Wings. We'll chat tomorrow on the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.